A young Ethiopian boy named Abushe attracted the attention of photographers and people around the world because of his unusual blue eyes that are extremely rare in this world. He was known as one of the 88 people with the most beautiful eyes on the planet, a remarkable distinction that the boy had not even realized. But even having the most beautiful eyes in the world, on the other hand, wasn't always easy for him. He had blue eyes like I had never seen before in my life, said a photographer from Cape Town in South Africa who had the opportunity to photograph Abushe for the first time. He described them as two miniature planets with the most friendly face to go with them. Abushe was born with a mutation in the melanin gene that affects the development of eye pigment color. It is a disorder known as Waardenburg syndrome, and according to the U.S. National Library of Medicine, this extremely rare disorder affects 1 in 40,000 individuals. When Abushe was born, his parents were surprised by his eyes and thought he was blind. The parents could not afford to have him examined or treated because of serious financial problems. Later, his parents referred to this unique and rare condition as a gift from God. Abushe was photographed by French photographer Eric Laforgue in 2016, and until that time, he lived with his grandparents in a precarious environment in a house built of mud and wood. Unfortunately, one day a fire broke out in their house, but Abushe and his grandmother managed to escape without being seriously injured. The fire completely destroyed all their belongings, and except for one that Abushe held tightly in his arms, a red soccer ball. His ambition was, at some point in his future, to become a famous professional soccer player. Abushe's favorite team is Barcelona, and he's a big fan of striker Lionel Messi, who played for that team. Messi is the same as me, he is different from the rest, Abushe explained. The boy's words were shared on an Instagram page dedicated to the region. In the background, Abushe was eating a typical Ethiopian dish and consists of a variety of vegetables and no meat spread on leavened bread. In relative silence and without disturbing the surroundings, Abushe would occasionally raise his eyes from his plate, and when he saw that he was being looked at, he made the decision to break the silence. "Can you tell me how old you are?" "I'm almost 14, he explained to me. "Can you tell me what you want to be when you grow up?" "I'm going to be a doctor," he told me. "Aren't you a professional model?" "That might be a good idea," I said to Bush, and he replied firmly with a hint of sarcasm. "Even though I'm not familiar with fashion models, I think it might be interesting." I couldn't help but laugh a little. He didn't even bother to smile. When I was born, my parents thought I was blind. When people realized I could see, some referred to me as cursed, and many of the young men in my village refused to associate with me in any way. They told me I needed to get my eyes fixed. I ran away from home and lived on the streets where I got into many fights with other people. That's why I ended up with this scar, and with my right index finger, he pointed to the arch etched near my right eye. When strangers would come and ask to take pictures of me, I didn't think anything of it, until I started making money from it. This changed my perspective, as well as the thinking of my community. Then the interviewer remembered an article he discovered on his phone at that very moment. It was about the 88 most beautiful eyes on the planet. The cover photo was a picture taken of Abushe. Abushe didn't know about this, and I said, "Did you know that you have one of the 88 most beautiful eyes in the world out of a population of 8 billion people?" We showed him the article right there, and I noticed that the expression on his face changed. When he looked at me, his eyes sparkled like the sun hitting the water. "It's impossible for me to believe this. 8 million?" he asked me. "No, 8 billion, as in 8 times a billion." "How 8 times a billion?" His expression was a mixture of delight and amusement. "What?" he exclaimed with his red flush. "This couldn't be real, I swear on my Mother Mary." His excitement and our unexpected discovery filled the whole room with joy. After that, our translator said, "Do you know the word Abushe?" In Aramaic, it means little boy. He said that most people refer to him by this nickname, although his real name is Melekamo. It is a word from his country that translates as good. "Melekamo," I said out loud. Then he stood up straight and nodded his head. I smiled with my gaze being drawn to 2 bright light blue pupils. This text was produced by Clay, a content creator and photographer who recently traveled to Ethiopia, where he was able to sit down with Abushe, now 14. Abushe explained to Clay, "When I was born, they thought I was blind. When people realized that I could see, some referred to me as a cursed person, and many of the young men in my village refused to talk or play with me. and used to say that I had to get my eyes fixed. So I ran away from home and lived on the streets, where I got into a lot of fights with other people, and that's how I ended up with this scar, which is this arch marked right next to it on my eye," he said. According to research, the traditional name Abushe is a masculine field that translates as excellent. Waardenburg syndrome, meanwhile, is a group of inherited disorders that can cause hearing loss as well as alterations in hair or eye coloration and pigmentation. People with Waardenburg syndrome may suffer severe loss in one or both ears. Although most people with this disease usually have very pale blue eyes or have a mixture of colors, such as one blue and one brown eye, occasionally one eye may have portions of two different colors. Evidence suggests that this syndrome occurs in approximately 1 in 40,000 births and accounts for approximately 2 to 5% of all cases of congenital deafness in the general population. If you liked this video, be sure to click the like button, subscribe to our channel if you are not already subscribed. See you in the next sensational story here on our channel. See you next time.